In preparation of getting ready to play Alan Wake 2, it made sense that I go back to the original Alan Wake, which came out in 2010. And I do remember playing it as a launch title for my Xbox 360, by the way. But it makes sense to go back and play that game again. Thankfully, it's been remastered. What you're looking at is the 2021 remastered. I'm playing it on PlayStation 5 Pro. And I thought I would give some thoughts on the game. And if you guys like this content, super simple ask, comment, rate, subscribe, help me reach my goal of 6,000 subs by the end of the year. So Alan Wake came out in 2010 by Remedy Entertainment, and it was originally launched on the Xbox 360. That's where I played it the first time. And what I was so impressed about back then remains true today, which is always interesting to look at games that are very old, in this case, 16 years old, with a new light, right? I mean, we've been through a lot in the last 16 years in the gaming world. So what makes Alan Wake stand out and what makes it so special? I mean, yes, it looks amazing right now. It's running at 60 frames a second. It's got some pretty good lighting effects, phenomenal narration, graphics, storytelling, all that kind of stuff. But what really makes it stand out is the incredible detail to each and every character, to the massive amounts of world building and lore building, and the ability to just get lost in this story. So Alan Wake is an author, and he likes to talk. He will talk your ear off. He's going to talk about everything he sees. He's going to talk about everything he's doing. He's going to find these manuscripts that he typed, that he doesn't understand how they got here, that are written in his own voice, written in his own hand, that kind of give you a preview of some of the challenges you may face, or may give you some insight into something you've played previously. But if you take the time to listen to the world and to listen to what he's saying, to go around and check out all the little nooks and crannies of the map, picking up the manuscripts, listening to the radio broadcasts, checking out the television shows, this is a very deep world, a very exciting world, and one that is very easy to get lost in. And I think that, honestly, the attention to world building in this game is what makes it so fun years later, and what makes the somewhat basic gameplay not that frustrating, because you're so eager to find out what happens next. And it is such a weird, mysterious, dark world where Alan is constantly meeting new people and, navigating between this kind of normal day society and then these really weird twists at night when, the terror comes out and this dark presence comes out. And him navigating through that and questioning himself, am I insane and what's going on? And convincing some of his friends that what he's seeing is real, and other people not so convinced of what he's doing, and hearing all the tales and everything you see around you be talked about in the news and with other characters who aren't experiencing these things. Very, very interesting. Very easy to get lost in this world, and I think that's what makes it so much fun. For moment-to-moment gameplay, it is kind of basic. You are using a flashlight as your primary mode of defense. You basically illuminate enemies, which kind of breaks this armor, and then you shoot them. The flashlight's nice because it works, kind of duels as a reticle as well. So wherever you're aiming is obviously whatever you're shooting at. You're going to get a bunch of different weapons in the game. Your tried and true revolver, shotgun, rifle, flare guns. There's a lot of stuff in here to choose from. And you're basically going to be doing these dodges and shooting with the flashlight, aiming the light at the flashlight and shooting an enemy. That's really the core loop of the game. I don't want to sell it as more than it's not, but honestly, like I said, you're going to really quickly fall in love with the world, where the combat is going to kind of almost be secondary. And you're going to be very invested in the story. And if you're into the collectathons, there's plenty to do, especially in this remaster. I feel like they've added so many things to do if you want to. But if you're invested and you want to know more about the world, that you have that option. The moment-to-moment gameplay is it's hit and miss. At times, I feel like it was very unfair, where 5 or 6 enemies will just come at you suddenly, and you're just going to get overwhelmed and die. And then at times they just very systematically, one after another, just kind of funnel towards you. I mean, keep in mind, even though this does have a fresh coat of paint, new graphics engine, all that kind of stuff, the bones of this game still really took place in 2010. So as a result, some of that logic and some of those gameplay tropes, which we've kind of moved on from, unfortunately still exist in this game. But I think that's part of the charm. In terms of the overall presentation, in terms of the graphics, it runs at a locked 60 frames a second. It's gorgeous. This game does sometimes struggle with shadows, which is kind of odd since a primary point of the game is this kind of night play, where you're shining a flashlight at enemies and you're using, like I said, flare guns and large beams of light to kind of push back the darkness, quite literally. There are still times when the lighting does weird things, particularly on character models, particularly on Alan's face, where it looks a little odd. Sometimes characters don't have shadows. Sometimes the light source is just, it's not really clear where it's coming from. And I think that's a little bit of a disappointment because this game would look phenomenally better if it really embraced that true darkness, kind of in the way that Silent Hill 2 did. And again, I understand, the remake and how people decided to do what with what franchise. But because of this game always having this kind of constant gray darkness, like even though we're supposed to be in pitch black, you could still see around you pretty well. You could still walk around pretty easily. You could still navigate things pretty easily, even if your flashlight was off, which it'll always be on. But if this had a true dark to it and it really embraced the OLED TV, I think it would be even more horrifying. Here, the enemies aren't so much horrifying as they are just obstacles that you can largely see coming. But imagine if there was just complete pitch black except for what your light source saw, and it really made the other lighting in the game pop. I think this game would take on a different vibe. Maybe one that the creators didn't want to do. Maybe this was a stylistic choice on their part. I'm not sure. But that's something that is a little aggravating. One thing that does stand out in this game, though, even though it does have old bones, is great attention to sound effects and to sound design and to just the ambience that you're going to hear in the game. This game, I absolutely recommend playing with a really nice pair of headphones and just getting lost in the world. Because this game is told almost in a television show format, episodically, and because everything is kind of piecemeal together, and they do a lot of previously on Alan Wake, and it almost feels like it was released episodically at times, right? Because of that, there's always that kind of banger, quick twist at the end. It's always something happens and it catches you off guard and the characters are all stunned, and then it's kind of one of those fade to black moments, and then they'll select a song to kind of play in the background. I know there's controversy in the past with some of the copyrighted music and stuff in the game. I can tell you that in this version that I am playing, the Remastered 2021 version, all the music is awesome. It really hits. And I found myself, even though I know all to do is hit X to continue on to just jump right into the next chapter, I found myself sitting and listening to the music and processing what I just saw, and kind of that like, whoa, what a shocking moment. Like, put the controller down. Oh my God, did that just happen? Did this character just say this? Did this person just die? Whatever. Those cliffhanger moments, I really let them resonate in my playthrough, and I really let it sink in. And I think because of that, it kind of popped a little more. Now, you could beat this game, I would say, about 15 or so hours, probably a little faster depending on how much of a completionist you want to be. The nice thing is, even on the regular mode, this game is not overly punishing where you have to count bullets. There are constant loot piles scattered throughout each level. There are just, even on the main path, there's regular boxes that you could find, and then there's these hidden additional caches of weaponry you can find. Never once did I die because I didn't have enough ammo. It was largely because I was overwhelmed by the enemy, or because I navigated off a cliff like you saw earlier because I wasn't entirely sure where to go. The radar does a pretty good job of giving you a loose idea of where you need to end up, but there are times when you have to loop back and open doors and that sort of thing, and you might find yourself backtracking a little bit or thinking, oh, I'm just going to jump over this cliff and then hitting an invisible wall and dying or something like that. So that will extend your gameplay a little bit. This game isn't very handholdy, but it is largely linear. But again, because of the amount of weapon drops and item drops that you're going to get throughout the adventure, there's a very high likelihood you're going to be able to run and gun if you want to. The longest time you're going to spend with this game, honestly, is in all that side stuff that I said and getting lost in the world. And that's largely why I decided to go back and not just watch some YouTube video on basically the summary of Alan Wake 1 before jumping into the sequel. I really wanted to re-experience and I didn't realize this remastered was out, honestly. I thought I was playing the base game again, which I was fine with, but I really wanted to get lost in the world and hear all the little mysteries and nooks and crannies. I don't know how much of it carries over to the second one, but obviously Alan Wake's story, at least the first one, very, very profound with me, definitely resonated with me, but I knew that not only was there just a story of like, here's the plot in a paragraph, but experiencing it again, living through his trials and tribulations and his story was something that I felt really mattered to me in order to get ready for the sequel. So that's why I decided to jump back in and play this again. And I'm glad that I did, because it was a phenomenal, phenomenal experience, and I really, really did enjoy it. This rebranded 2021 edition does include some additional DLC, and that's fun to do. It adds even more to the world. If you're interested in this world and you want to experience more and learn more of the characters and kind of what makes this area so unique and what is really going on, I recommend just kind of sinking your teeth through all of it. It's not very long, but I think it's worth going through everything and really enjoying it. I could say that if the second one is as good as this, I know I'm in for a thrill, and I know that the second one won tons of awards, so I suspect I'm going to be excited when I get there. But I wanted to go back and kind of re-talk about the original because it was really profound to me back then, and it's really refreshing when a game lives up to what you remember it to be, especially with how many games are out today, and not just from a sense of pure nostalgia bait, but genuinely excited storytelling and genuinely invested in the characters. Not just in, oh, I really like this level, I really like this song, but the rest of the game kind of sucks, or oh, the middle part's a slog, let me just work my way through it so I can get to the good stuff at the end, or let me put on the cheat code where I can get all the guns and just kind of blow through it because whatever. I genuinely found myself invested in this. I know I said that 1,000 times, but that's how impactful it was to me personally. And I think if you haven't played either Alan Wake 1 or 2, definitely recommend going back and starting with this one. It's on every platform now. It runs phenomenally. So pick your console of choice, your platform of choice. Really sink some time into it and enjoy the world. And be impressed and amazed with the storytelling that a game can do. There's tons of Easter eggs to other Remedy titles. The characters seem to be very well fleshed out. The conversations never felt forced or contrite. You know, a lot of times I think in some of the dialogue that we see in modern games and television, they'll blow through NPCs very quickly and make them kind of not matter just because they want to get on with the main story. And I think here they did a phenomenal job of fleshing out the immediate cast and crew of the people you're going to meet. They do matter. Their stories are important, and they do have, I wouldn't say it's like a full-blown RPG in that sense, but they're very well thought out. So with that, I'll wrap up this kind of review, kind of discussion, remembrance, whatever. I will do some sort of review at some point on Alan Wake 2. It's going to take me a while as I'm wrapping up this game and transitioning over to that one. And I just want to sink my teeth into it and enjoy it for what it is. These games are not meant to be rushed. That's all I can say. Hope you guys found this interesting and informative. If you haven't ever played an Alan Wake game, hopefully a little bit of this snippet of this very early section gives you an idea of what to expect. I think it's something that is definitely kind of on the Mount Rushmore of games that had an impact with me. But I think more so than that, I I think a game like this that does stand the test of time is one that you absolutely have to check out. If nothing else, for the love of the art. If nothing else, because you're a gamer. But check it out, all right? Hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.